Hi everyone, it's Jen from Mr. and Mrs. Pose. And in this pose alignment segment, we're going to talk about the yogic push down, Chaturanga Dandasana, also called four-limb staff pose. From a student point of view, this pose is either taken for granted and therefore risks injury, or it's regarded as quite hard, particularly for those with less strength in the upper body. But this is the benefit of Chaturanga Dandasana, or four-limb staff pose. It strengthens the arms and the wrists. It tones and activates the abdominal organs and the core of the body. It activates muscles along the back body as well. In our practice, we use it in warm-up. It's a part of the salute to the sun, Surya Namaskar. We also use it as a strengthening preparation for arm balances later on. One of the lesser known benefits is that it actually activates meridians that run up the arm and the inside of the wrist, this large intestine meridian and the Sanjiao meridian. If you do, though, have wrist injury, carpal tunnel syndrome, you might not want to do many of these in your practice, if you do any at all. If you're pregnant, it's best to avoid the pose just because of the danger of falling on the tummy. So let's try the version on the knees. Coming to hands and knees with the hands, we walk the hands about half a hand length forward, but then we bring those shoulders right over the wrists. So already we're starting to firm the core of the body, and here we activate the armpits and we start to bring the inner heels of the palms closer together, closer to the midline, broadening the shoulders a little bit. So this activates the muscles down the side body, the serratus anterior, and also gives us lots of support around the shoulder girdle. So to come forward, instead of bringing the elbows back, which you will see often, we try and keep the elbows in line with the wrists. We actually bring the shoulders forward and then down to a right angle. We generally don't bring the shoulders lower than parallel to the floor, lower than the elbow, just because that then destabilizes the shoulder joint. I know that's where I secured an injury early on in my practice because I was lowering too far and twisting a little bit when I was pushing back up, and that caused injury. To do the full variation of the pose, let's try that now. We'll bring the hands forward, coming up onto the toes. Again, pushing a little forward on the toes, shoulders are right over the wrists, and then we bend forward, and then you can lower all the way down, or you can push back up again, whichever you prefer. If you're still having a little trouble with alignment, perhaps you're recovering from an elbow injury, you really want to take it slowly with this pose and perhaps try working with props as well. A couple of the great ways to work are using blocks to come down, or we can also place a bolster underneath us and practice over the bolster like this. So using the bolster to prop up the other part of the body, and we start to lift ourselves off the bolster. But because that maintains that right angle of the arm, we're not coming too low, we start to slowly develop strength and work into other variations of the pose. Another fantastic option for particularly activating the back body, activating the buttocks, the backs of the thighs, the hamstrings and the calves, is to do your chaturanga with your heels against the wall. So trying like this, with the feet fairly flat against the wall, and then coming forward. This actually forces us to maintain integrity in the back of the body, and then we come down. So try a couple of these variations to work on your Chaturanga Dandasana. Really thank you for watching, and please subscribe to Mr. and Mrs. Pose. Namaste.